Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, okay? As you can probably tell, I have a bit of a cold, okay? I'm struggling pretty hard, but anyways, Impact Shooting came out with this video that everybody is freaking out about. I saw Reloading Weatherby post a video about this.
Friends don't let friends buy 30-06s. Oops. Send it.
I saw Hopeful Ballistics post a response to this.
Reference to Peter from Impact Shooting's video. First of all, let me say, I like Peter from what I can tell.
So I figured I would jump on and just kind of watch it with you guys and give you my honest reaction and thoughts and see if I agree with him or agree with them. Let's find out.
Cartridges versus their modern alternatives, and why you should absolutely not buy a new rifle without watching this video.
It's a bold statement. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, guys.
From point A to point B, now we have more efficient ways of accomplishing the exact same thing.
That is true.
This applies to our lovely long-range world too. So my goal here is not...
One thing I noticed already. He said long-range world. Okay. So what I feel like is going to happen a lot in this video is he's talking mostly about long-range shooting, and you got us Americans that are saying, buddy, we only shoot 200 yards at whitetails in a field. That's what a lot of the US does. So they're saying, I don't need whatever this new cartridge is. My 308 works just fine. So neither person is wrong, right? It's just, I think on paper he's going to be right, and he's going to be speaking to primarily long range, and we're going to be rebuttaling as if he's talking about hunting in whatever way you hunt, right? It's going to be a little bit different. I can already kind of see it coming, but let's keep going.
Not to diminish these old cartridges. If you own one of those, great, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. My goal here is to show the new people coming into the sport, instead of your friend talking you into buying a 30-06 in 2024, perhaps don't do that. Watch this guide, and I'm going to give you guys some information to make an informed decision and to do further homework on these new cartridges and why we would recommend them.
Again, emphasis on that he's saying if you're getting into it or if you're buying a new rifle today or something like that, right? Again, if you already have a 30-06, like we already have all of our guns, it's probably a little bit different of a situation, right? He's speaking to the new guy getting into long-range shooting, right? Not the tree stand hunter that has 6 guns already, okay? So I'm not trying to defend him. I can already kind of see where this is headed, and that's going to be kind of my guess, but we'll see.
Them as better alternatives than the old classics. So without further ado, let's set some rules for this thing. For the purpose of this video, we are going to be looking at bought, not built. Because if you build a custom rifle, you can choose one of these old cartridge designs and put on a modern twist rate with a custom chamber on it, and you can mitigate a lot of the limitations that these old cartridges have because they were designed when the Dead Sea was still sick. We're also going to be sticking with cartridges that are SAMI or CIP approved. This basically means there's a global governing body that makes...
Okay, so we're looking at
understanding of ballistics range. It's going to deliver. Getting too technical. Basically, the premise you need.
We're looking at SAMI approved, solid cartridge. Gotcha.
Now, making a bullet longer has a bit of a
off the shelf, out of the box.
You need potentially a little bit more oomph, okay, to propel that bullet at the desired speed. And also, you need to have a faster twist rate. Otherwise, the bullet will not stabilize. And if you've ever seen somebody shoot and the bullets are going through the paper sideways,
that's a little exaggerated. Yeah, twist rate. I feel like twist rate gets a little bit overblown. What's more important is how far you got to seat the bullets into the case to get them to, work correctly. Most of you guys probably know this, but that's a really short explanation. But yeah,
that is too heavy for the twist rate, and their rifle
you
is
certainly can.
To send that bullet downrange with enough rotational energy to actually stabilize that bullet in flight. And that is one of the largest limitations of these older generation cartridges, that they all have very slow twist rates. They are limited to shooting lighter bullets. And when you want to implement these new heavier bullets, you run into one, a twist rate problem. And the other reason is because these bullets are now heavier and therefore longer, you have to push them into the case
That's what I was saying,
You
yeah.
guys a graphic here. Push it in deeper into an old school case design.
You gotta eat up some of the powder capacity,
In other
yeah.
words, case capacity issue. Question. Because on a lot of these factory chamber rifles, to meet that solid bullet sitting at the
Alright, let's get into the meat and
I think they
potatoes here.
want high BC. And this has led to rounds producing higher performance at less pressure, which means two things for you: better barrel life and less recoil. So just think about that. More better barrel life and better performance downrange, as well as less recoil. I, for example, grew up shooting a 30-06. I was scared of that rifle because it had an enormous amount of recoil for the platform it was in, and I didn't enjoy shooting it. Possibly also this was my father's
Fair enough, I probably wouldn't have at 6 either.
But that is a video for a different day. Due to the time limitations and your attention span, this video is not going to be an in-depth cartridge guide for every single one of these cartridges we're going to go in. My goal here is to give you guys enough information where you can go and do your own research on these new modern cartridges and decide if that is something you want to do. Again, I want to create awareness that your friends shouldn't be talking you into a 30-06 in 2024.
Again, if I had a buddy looking to buy his first rifle to go long range shooting, I probably wouldn't recommend a Knot 6 either, right? If he wanted a 300-yard mule deer and out gun for a beginning shooter, Knot 6 might be a hell of a choice, right? I mean, again, he's not wrong, but he's not necessarily right. So we'll see.
Because friends don't do that to friends. And if your friends are doing that, you should really tell them to subscribe to this channel, because their thought process is potentially very outdated. Alrighty, let's get into
I know
it.
he's saying that just to get
Make it easy for you
reactions,
guys
but
to skip
still,
forward if
damn.
you want to, if you're after a particular cartridge. I have indexed the video down.
Alright, let's get to the good stuff
To
here.
round things off, just check out the timestamps down below. So let's get things started. The old classic, the Speedster.
22-2 filthy, baby.
This
That's
cartridge
right, I knew
is
it.
Incredible. Let me read.
Hell yeah.
This cartridge used to be incredible.
No,
But now,
it still
designed in
is.
2024, our newest cartridge on the list. Fun fact, I was actually at the dinner celebrating with the guys from Hornady, with the guys from Horizon Firearms.
22
The day
arc.
that the Sami specification came through, the 22 Creedmoor is going to be my recommendation as a
Here's one caveat. So, 22-250 is specifically meant to shoot like a 50 grain bullet at like $4,000, right? If you shoot Hornady Super Performance, that's what mine shoots a 5-shot average of like 39.97 or something. Okay, the thing's a coyote stomper to like 400 or 500 yards, barely have to hold over. Pretty sure at 500 yards I'm only holding like 20 inches over. Granted, I have it sighted in like 3.5 inches high at 100 yards, or it's something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's not very much. Anyways, actually, I have it right here. Hold on. Was doing some reorganize earlier, making a couple videos, and cartridge I grew up shooting, that's going to be the same argument as the 22 Creed. This one right here. Is it focused? Can you make it out? It's a 243, okay? When I was growing up and we would go coyote hunting, I would just take my 243, right? And my buddies would always say, oh, dude, you got to get a 22-250. And I would say, why? I have a 243. I can just, whenever we're going coyote hunting or I'm not going deer hunting for a while, I'll sight it in with the 58s or 60s or 75s or whatever, and we'll go shoot coyotes with that. And I would say, it does hit harder for sure, but 22-250 doesn't kick as much. It's not as loud. It's a smaller cartridge. The case is smaller, right? So it's kind of the same thing here. So again, it goes back to, if you want a gun to long range shoot steel and go hunt predators with, 22 Creedmoor is a stomper. If you want something to just shoot coyotes out to like 300 or 400 yards, I still think that 22-250 is absolutely more than viable today. That thing is a ground pounder for coyotes.
super fast vomiting cartridge. You can shoot heavy 4 caliber 22 bullets at speeds in excess of 3,400 feet per second. So this thing's an absolute laser beam. It's in the 6.5 Creed family. It's basically The 6.5 case.
Yeah, it's
necked
a
down one size to 6
notably
then
bigger
necked down
cartridge
another
than a
size
22
to
250.
caliber. So that is what I would recommend as the modern alternative to a 22 250. Now I must give credit where credit is due. Designed all the way
should.
back in 1937, the 22 250 has held on for a hell of a long time.
That's because
And
it's a
it
damn
owns
good
a
varminter.
pile of dead deer all over the world.
Oh,
This is a
another
great
good point. We in America don't think of 22 Creed as, or 22 250, excuse me, as like a deer cartridge as much. I know some people do, but broad stroke. Where this dude lives in a lot of places overseas, you see a lot of people taking like 243s, 22 250s, and doing headshots on really small deer. I'm sure you guys have seen the YouTube videos. So, if I was doing that, I might go 22 Creed, to be honest, over a 250 or a 243. Again, another one of those things where he's not wrong, but I'm not going to say he's right either, right? I think it really just depends, but let's keep going. It's got to get better. This hasn't been that crazy so far.
Modern alternative, potentially have a look at the 22 Creed. Because it is so new, it's worth noting you might struggle to find factory ammo and things. As I said, Sami spec has just come through in 2024. So if you know you're potentially in the market for a high-speed 22 caliber cartridge, stick around a little bit, try and get a brand new 22 Creed. Those should start hitting the market in factory offerings relatively shortly. Let's have a look at our 6mm options. A lot of people, for the longest time, have been buying 243 Winchesters. Designed back in 1952, this cartridge is phenomenal, okay? I myself, as a young
243 is a really good cartridge.
Winchester. It's a great performing cartridge, and just like in our previous segment, its modern replacement, you guessed it, is a 6mm Creedmoor. So if you remember earlier, we said 6.5 neck down to 6mm. Again, same story as before, and this is that trend I want you guys to notice. Heavy.
I pretty much agree with this one on all fronts. I shot a 243 a lot growing up. I shot a lot of deer with it. I do think a 6 Creed is a good option instead of a 243, not just for the long range scenarios. We shot a lot of 80 and 100 grain Corlocks, and then as I got older, we shot a lot of 100 grain partitions, 95 grain fusions, things like that. The 6 Creed slinging those 103s, 105s, 108s, 110s, 112s, I think it is a notable step up on deer-sized game from the 243. And the other kind of caveat I'll say is, if you have a 243 and you've been shooting it for years and you have all your hand loading stuff, or even if you don't, you just like it, I don't necessarily recommend that you go dart out and buy a 6 Creed, okay? What I would say is if all you have is a 300 Win mag or a 30-06 and you want to just step it down a notch to get something that's a little more, maybe you take it out long range, but maybe you shoot coyotes and it's your deer gun and you shoot your antelope with it, and you know, some things like that, just more of a daily driver type of rifle that doesn't beat you up as bad. I would pick a 6 Creed over a 243 today if you're buying a new rifle and don't currently own one or the other or anything close to it. 6 Creed, I think, is really a sweet spot in that short action hunting cartridge class because it does shoot a heavy enough bullet for mule deer, elk, all those things, out to extended ranges, mildly extended ranges. Flat trajectory, outruns, you know, to me, if I could go back, I would buy it instead of my Creed, my 6.5 Creed, but it wasn't really a thing at the time. Anyways, I would buy this if I wanted to shoot mule deer and antelope and everything and didn't have a gun in this kind of class already. I'm 100% on board with this one.
For caliber bullets, you're going to be shooting a 108 grain bullet, for example. The 243 Winchesters were shooting like 90 grains, 87 grains in that region. Yes, you can shoot heavier, but you do run into some limitations, as we've discussed earlier, whereas the 6 Creedmoor is inherently more accurate. It is more efficient. It is a phenomenal cartridge, and that is what I would recommend looking at.
The 6 Creed is really underrated.
For the beloved 243 Winchester. As we get to 6.5mm or .264, I realize the error in my ways because you guys are potentially going to get sick of a certain term in this video. Now, our cartridges we're going to look at that this new modern cartridge replaces actually covers more than one caliber. We're going to look at the 6.5.
Definitely don't buy one of
The
those.
oldest cartridge on the list, designed all the way back in 1891. Okay. We're also going to be looking at the 308. Okay, and this is probably going to upset a lot of people. This video
Again, here's a tough one, because like I said earlier, if you hunt deer out of a tree stand or a ground blind back east at 200 yards or 100 yards or 80 yards, keep your 308, right? 308 is a hell of a cartridge for those scenarios. If you're buying your first rifle to get into long range shooting, I'm guessing he's going to say 6.5 Creed or PRC. He's got a point, right? But again, if you're shooting deer at 200 yards, your 308 is a great choice.
It was just fun and games, give the new people some information, so don't take it too seriously, please. Video 8
Oh, we
designed
will.
back in 1952. And while we're at it, we could also potentially, I'm on the fence about this one, lump the 260 Remington into this category too. Designed in 1997, one of the newer cartridges on the list that still falls.
Used to have
on
a
the
260.
fringe back
It was
in
fine.
the days. And you guessed it, you can replace the 3 of these with, drumroll please, the 6.5 Creedmoor. Guys, this cartridge gets a ton of hate. In fact, I've done a deep dive on this cartridge. It is a very easy cartridge to hate. It's got so much going for it. My first 2 rifles were chambered in 6.5.
Well, that's because you're a wimp.
I've got
No, I'm
rifles
kidding.
chambered in 6.5 Creed.
I have a current 6.5 Creed and I
There's
love it, dude. I think it's so dope.
It's a phenomenal cartridge. You can hunt with it. You can shoot matches with it. You can plink at 1,000 yards to the point where it will get boring for you. This cartridge
That is true.
do it all.
It's so easy
Maybe
to
not
shoot.
Hunt a buffalo, but hell,
Yeah,
shot
it's not a
cougars with
big
it.
game
It is a
cartridge, but
phenomenal cartridge.
deer,
So
antelope,
if you're in the market
money.
for sort of a 6.5, I would highly recommend you looking at the Creedmoor. Another trend you guys will find in this modern cartridges, when buying factory ammunition, this really doesn't apply to reloaders. Again, reloaders, we can manipulate recipes a little bit more. If you're buying factory ammunition, store-bought ammunition, these newer cartridge designs are inherently more accurate in your specific rifle because the recipe and the optimal
As a
technique
general
is
rule,
so much
probably,
more
yeah.
forgiving in a wide variety of chambers. So 6.5 Creed can do a lot, and I would not buy a 308 or a 260 or a 6 point, definitely not a 6.5 by 55. even though they're
Agreed. Don't buy
long-action
one of those
cartridges.
things.
Those
That
three,
thing's so
replace
old.
them with a 6.5 Creed. If
Yes.
you want something to hit a little bit harder, look at the 6.5 PRC potentially also in that little bracket.
6.5 PRC's a great round.
You know you want a sort of modern rifle looking.
Reminds me a lot of my old 270 short mag.
Make sure you check out MDT Sport.
We're gonna skip his ad.
So caliber of them all, which is a 7mm. It is such a wonderful
7 mils a
caliber.
monster, dude. I love 7s.
The 7mm bullet offers so much ballistic coefficient. Okay, it is a phenomenal bullet from long range shooting to hunting, and I think it's that sweet spot before you start dealing with a lot of recoil. Okay, it's much lower recoiling. It's highly efficient. It's kind of in that, as I said, that Goldilocks zone, if you will, of cartridges. This thing just performs. Now, some of the old classics, all the way from 1957, the 280 Remington. Then slightly younger than that, the 7mm.
I don't know anyone who shoots a 280 anymore. 7 mag is a sweetheart,
The
though.
7mm Rem Mag, obviously,
Don't come at my
the
7
Magnum
mag,
cartridge,
dude.
Belted Magnum. They used the belt for head spacing back in the day. Not really optimal, causes a few issues down the line. Again, all of these things can be mitigated, not the end of the world. I've built cartridges on belted magnums in the past, and it's really not a deal breaker, to be honest. However, nowadays, the 7 PRC, which is the new kid on the block, with the
7 PRC is
range,
good.
just, I mean, it ticks all the boxes. Optimal case design, great factory ammo, high BC, long range bullets, great for hunting.
So, like I was just saying with the 308 and the 6.5 Creed, if he's speaking to, again, the guy buying one of his first rifles, and its main purpose is to go shoot long range, there's no disputing the 7 PRC off the shelf is better long range target shooting than the 7 mag, okay? But if you're a hunter man, and you have a 7 mag, particularly with what's going on right now with the 7 PRC ammo being slow and stuff, dude, that 7 mag, it really is a sweet spot. I mean, I have a really soft spot for 7 mags, to be honest. Let me just say this. If you have a 7 mag and you don't shoot anything hunting-wise over 500 yards, don't go buy a 7 PRC and expect it to be some kind of magic in a bottle, okay? It's not. You can step it up with a 7 mag, shoot a 168 in your 7 mag and a 175 in your PRC doesn't make a world-changing difference, right? A 7 mag is still right there. It takes a ways for the 7 PRC to make a notable difference in a hunting scenario. So again, if you don't have a 7 of any kind, if you maybe have a 22-250 and a 243 or whatever, if you have a smaller rifle and you want to take that next step up into a 7 modern day, maybe go for the PRC, yeah. But I don't know, dude. I still wouldn't count out that 7 mag, particularly at the moment with all the weird stuff going on with the PRC. 7 mag is just so tried, so true. The thing's just a monster. That if you're going to hunt North American big game inside of 400 or 500 yards, dude, 7 mag is right there.
Many different options to buy in. Just, yeah, it's the modern 7mm. End of discussion. Unless you want to leave a comment, then feel free to do that.
Leave a comment for
Let's
me
step
instead.
things up to the 30 cals. The 30-06 has a lot of love. Now, 30 caliber designed
Well, yeah.
in 1906. That's where they got the name for 30-06.
Not 6 is just
Phenomenal
so
cartridge, as I
good
said. This
at
has been a
like
staple
everything.
pretty much in everybody's arsenal. If you grew up with your dad or whatever shooting, it's a phenomenal cartridge. And how, while we're at it, we can lump the 300 Win Mag in that. It is
Look at that
also
old
a
ass
wonderful
300
cartridge.
Win Mag.
Again, you will see the sort of trend that we've discussed in the past with these two cartridges. Bullets are seated very deep. There's
That's
not
true.
a lot of the bullet actually sticking out.
300 Win Mags have a really short neck.
And as a result, with the new modern high BC bullets that we have available now, again, you guessed it, the 300 PRC, which is going to be those.
300 PRC is probably the one I am the most on board with, aside from, it's kind of weird that he lumped the 30-06 in and saying that 300 PRC replaces it, because those are two drastically different cartridges. Again, if my buddy was looking to get a long-range rifle, I'm probably not telling him a 06, but I'm probably not telling him a 300 PRC if it's his first gun either, right? For me, I have a 300 Win Mag that I bought not too long ago, and I do, in this case, wish it was a 300 PRC. 300 PRC is a tank, bro. That it is a monster. I was mentioning 6.5 PRC being real similar to a 270 short mag before, and it's not that we haven't seen anything like the 6.5 PRC before. There's been a lot of similar things. There's been some the similar things to the 300 PRC, but dude, that thing is a elk hammer, a real one, a real elk hammer. Pardon me, I have a bit of a runny nose here being sick, but dude, you can shoot like 225, 240 grain bullets out of this thing at an appreciable velocity. It is a real jump from the 300 Win Mag. That really puts it in a class of cartridge that there wasn't much in before. Not that there wasn't 30 cals. You could have went up to a big 33, but dude, that is a hell of a not crazy big 30 cal in terms of cartridge, like 3378 Weatherby or something like that, right? This is still not that much peppier than a 300 Win Mag, but much stouter than a 300 Win Mag at the same time. I love 300 PRCs for elk hunting and bison hunting and big bear hunting.
Two modern day replacements. You can see these bullets optimally get so much better performance, less recoil, more battle life, just more better all around. And that's why I
Less recoil in a 6, not really.
the shelf.
Before some guy gets on his keyboard, in an equivalent rifle with all equivalent everything, okay, yeah, if you have a 5-pound 06 and a 12-pound 300 PRC with a brake on it, then sure, okay. Or hand-loaded, some weird combo of hand-loaded, right? No. Apples to apples. 30-06 kicks less than a 300 PRC.
Yes, I've owned one. I shot one out to 2 kilometers. It's a phenomenal cartridge. I would lean that direction over the 30-06 and the 300 Win Mag.
I probably would over 300 Win Mag too.
Now let's step things up to the biggest boomer of all.
I'm not going to go down the 50 route. I don't think it really pertains to what we've been talking about here, but in short, guys, I don't disagree with him. I think he's speaking to something a little bit different than most people took this video as, right? Reloading Weatherby and some of those guys were definitely more reacting to the hunting aspect of it, okay? Where he sounds like he's speaking more to just the long-range shooting and combining it a little bit with hunting. But again, it really depends on your use case. If you're hunting whitetails at 200 yards, it doesn't matter. If you're shooting elk at 800 yards, some of it will matter, right? Not that I'm saying you should do that, but again, he's not wrong, but he's not right. He is technically right about everything on paper, aside from a few weird things. But yeah, he's not wrong about any of it. He's right. Just not correct all the time. I don't know how to explain it, but I think you guys know what I mean. But he did actually just drop another video saying, was he wrong, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to watch that, react to it right now. It'll probably be up tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe, stick around, and we'll see you next time.